The other thing you'll notice is I don't have gloves. A lot of quilters do use gloves. It helps. They have like a tacky material on top. Well, I can't say it's tacky. It's more or less like rubber. And that's what helps move everything through the machine and keep everything even. Now, the thing is, you may not necessarily need it. And I say that because it helps a lot. But if you're just beginning and you're doing a bunch of small quilts, just sort of keeping the fabric flat with your hands will indeed work just fine. If you're doing a much larger quilt, and I say like, for me, larger is twin size and above, then I would highly recommend getting a set of gloves. I know that I put in the instructions that you don't necessarily need a walking foot, which is true. Walking foots are, I mean, they're invaluable. You really do need one if you're going to be doing a lot of quilting. But if for some reason you don't have one on hand, that's okay. What you would do is still position your hands the same way and really sort of hold the fabric tight to the feeders. And just remember to sew fairly slowly. You'll notice that I'm sewing slowly here because I'm still doing a lot of repositioning. I can tell you that from past experience, for anything that's small, I've been able to get away with not using a walking foot, but it helps tremendously. So we're almost done with this. The other thing is if you have the need for speed and constantly like to sew really fast, be cautious of doing that with your walking foot on. Most of the instruction manuals that you'll read as far as walking foots encourage you to sew at your peak 75% of the highest setting on your machine. This has a lot to do with the fact that it's actually attached to your machine, and you don't really want to rush through this. Plus, I mean, when you sew slower, it helps a whole lot at keeping your line straight and really being able to focus on it. So the way that we're going to quilt this again, we're going to go through and sew all of the rows. You're just going to sew just like this and line up everything. And then from there, you're going to sew one line on the right-hand side, one line on the left-hand side, and then you're going to sew, you're going to turn the quilt, and you're going to re-roll it. And what you're going to do is, again, sew two lines. So it's kind of like pseudo echo quilting, pseudo grid lines, but really it's just to give people the chance to sew and to quilt and work on sewing their straight line, because in quilting that is extremely important. And I'm almost to the end. What we're going to do at this point is you're still going to sort of smooth out everything as it goes through. And as you get towards the end, what we're going to do is continue to sew off of the quilt for about a ½ inch. And then at this point, we're about a ½ inch off, so I'm going to cut the threads. You may actually need to cut the threads. My machine just happens to have a cutter on it. We're going to lift it up, and we're going to go back to the top and start sewing again and sew all the way down on the next one. Like I said, again, if you want to alternate, you can. I generally just sew one side and then continue going. But that's about it for quilting. Because we're not doing free motion on this quilt, the instructions are fairly simple. We do have roughly all week to finish this, and with tomorrow being a holiday, at least an American holiday, I think a lot of us are going to get most of this done. And then next Saturday we'll continue quilting, and then on Sunday I'll show you how to actually bind and finish it. Don't feel bad if you don't get that far. Every activity that we do is for a 7-day period. So even though I posted a bunch of blog posts today, it's really going to last you until all of next week. And then from there we're going to bind, and then after you bind it, you simply wash it and dry it, and that's it. So thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and continue to quilt, and hope you do the same. All right, bye guys.